Hello, my name is Sarah and today we're going to be looking at the ballet Swan Lake. I'm going to give you a short version of the story, but if you'd like to find out about the whole thing, you can go onto the English National Ballet website and there is a full synopsis of the plot. I have some pictures here to help us, so I hope these are clear enough for you. Now this is Odette, and she was turned into a white swan by Rothbart, who is a bird-like creature with magical powers. There's Prince Siegfried, who falls in love with the white swan, which makes Rothbart jealous. Now Rothbart has a daughter who is the black swan, and they plan a trick to play on the prince. So the prince thinks that when he's dancing with the black swan, he is actually dancing with the white swan. And when the white swan discovers this, she is heartbroken. And the prince chases after her, and that's all of the story I'm going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it for you. We are going to get warmed up today, and then we are going to have a mini ballet class. I will teach you a little bit of the ballet, and then at the end you will have the opportunity to create a little piece of the ballet for yourselves. Time to get warmed up. We're going to travel around the space that we have. I'm going to use a little picked up jump like this, 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jump forwards. Jump back. Now you may choose to travel in a different way around your space. Perhaps you'd like to skip, maybe you'd like to gallop, perhaps you'd like to hop. That's up to you. If you are seated today or you have any mobility limitations, then perhaps you would like to reflect that movement with a different part of your body that's more comfortable for you. So maybe you would use your hands, maybe you would use your shoulders, and you can do that throughout today with the movements. Perhaps you'll reflect them somewhere else. And if you feel you need a rest, or perhaps movement is very challenging for you today, then of course you can close your eyes and you can feel the music dancing. Because for me when I dance, it's actually my feelings that are dancing. Okay, let's try that little step, or the step that you are choosing with the music. Now, sometimes the music, because we're using the music from the ballet, sometimes it gets very, very loud. So if I dash over, it's because I don't want to deafen you. Okay, I'm going to count 4 in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Off you go. 5, 6, 7, 8. Jump. Jump back. And again. 5, 6, 7, 8. Jump. Jump back. Just that for now, because now we are going to add in the 4 main characters that we've just met. And they're each going to have their own movement, which tells us something about them. We'll start with our 2 swans. So the white swan, I've given her gentle, graceful, flowing movements. Perhaps think about a feather being blown in the breeze. And she has one wing up and down, the other wing up and down, and then up on her tiptoes as she very gently turns. Now I'm saying up on my tiptoes, but of course what I'm really meaning is that you're very lifted. So you could choose a different part of your body to be lifted with. Perhaps you could even use the breath. So you breathe in to be lifted and then very gently blow out for the turn. Okay. The black swan, I've given her very different movements. So she's got some sharp movements and then she turns around looking as if she would play a trick on you. So let's do our jump that we did at the beginning, and then we're going to add in those 2 characters. I will either say white swan or black swan, and then we do the movements that go with them. I hope that's clear. 5, 6, 7, 8, jump. Black Swan. Go back to our jump. White Swan. Okay, we need to add in the other characters. So we have Rothbart and we have the Prince. Now Rothbart wears a big cloak. So he's going to swing his cloak one way, swing it the other, and then go all the way around. And swing one way, and swing the other, and go all the way around. Now you might want to make your best Rothbart face, because when the dancers are dancing, they're also acting, and they have to really use their faces, because sometimes the audience are sitting a very, very long way away. So they have to make certain that their expressions can be seen. That's Rothbart. We also have the Prince. So he's going to march for 8, and then he was given a crossbow and arrow for his birthday, which is how he meets the White Swan in the first place, because he goes hunting. Just to say that this story was created a long, long time ago. Of course, people don't really go hunting anymore. Just wanted to clear that up. So 8 marches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He shoots his arrow and then again. Don't worry today if you don't pick up the movements exactly. We're just having a little try at a lot of things. The only reason I can do it is because I've practiced. And the dancers also, they have to practice, 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 so they can make certain that they get things right. So you can always practice these things afterwards, can't you? Let's try doing those two with the jump. So I'll either say Rothbart or I'll say the Prince. One, 2, 3, 4, off you go. The Prince. He's going to shoot and shoot. And again, a little jump. Rothbart. Look at your face. Now you may have guessed already, we're now going to put all of our characters with the jump. I could say Rothbart, I could say the Prince, I could say Black Swan, I could say White Swan. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, off you go. Rothbart. And back to your jump. Black Swan. Back to the jump. White Swan. And the Prince. Do you see what I mean about the music suddenly getting very loud? Okay, well I certainly feel out of breath. I'm sure maybe you feel a little bit out of breath too. We've done our warm-up and now it's time to move on to our mini ballet class. Now each day the dancers have in the morning their ballet class to prepare their bodies for the day ahead. In the afternoons they rehearse and of course they also have their performances. So we're going to look at a couple of steps that the dancers do in their morning class. Ballet dancers are very, very lifted when they dance. So perhaps you want to think about having a crown on your head so that you feel very, very proud. They also have their legs turned out. I've got my legs pointing forward at the minute, but they have their legs turned out. So I want you to imagine that you've got a little star here, and you're going to put the star underneath your feet, and then you're going to say, "Hello, star," and that's your first position of feet, and your legs are also turned out. Just putting my hands on my hips at the minute because ballet is always very neat. One of the first steps that the ballet dancers will do is called a plie, and plie means to bend. Do you know what language I'm speaking? Plie. Yeah, it's French because all of the ballet steps have French names. So plie means to bend, and you're making a diamond that disappears. We do two of those. A diamond that disappears. We follow our wing up and down, and then the other one up and down. We have another diamond that disappears. Try and keep the crown on your head. Don't let it drop off. A diamond that disappears. The arm comes up and we cross over, and then the other arm and we cross over. And I have called these my white swan plies. So I'm trying to bring in that very soft, graceful feeling to the movements. Okay, so we're going to stand really tall in first position before we begin. 3, 4, and plie. Let's do the whole thing again. So your diamond, that disappears. Well done. So that was plie to bend. We're now going to move on to tendu, which means to stretch. And these are my prince tendus. So they're going to shoot, your leg is going to shoot out like his bow. Out and in, and out and in. Then he's looking for the white swan one way and the other. Up, she's not there, straight ahead. Other side, out and in, and out and in. She's looking one way and the other, and up, straight ahead. Now, you may have noticed I've got 2 scarves here. So these are to help me remember right and left. So I've got a red scarf for red, and I call this my lemon scarf for left. Yes, because later on when we learn a bit of the ballet, it's going to really help us if we know which way we're going to go. So I'm going to say red or lemon. Yep, so we start with the red leg, out, in, then we look red first, lemon first, up, down, then we change. We start with the lemon leg, in, we look lemon, red, up, straight ahead. Should we try that all together? Sorry, slowly the first time, I forgot. One side, the red, lemon, up, straight ahead. Other side. There we go, lemon, red, up, straight ahead. Now I wonder if we can do that quicker. Yeah, so twice the speed. So out, in, red, lemon, up, straight ahead, out, in, lemon, red, up, straight ahead. Should we try it? Yeah. Two, three, four. Let's try again. I didn't do it very well the first time, did I? Now, when we did our plie, we did it all together, which is called unison. Now we're going to try something called canon, which is when we dance one after the other. So I'm going to do my first leg, out, in, look, look, up, down. Then you're going to do that leg, and I'm going to do my other leg, and then so are you. Yeah? So don't fall asleep. Be ready. I'll give you a little clue when it's your time to come in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Your turn. Me. And you. Well done. Good for you. So that's our plie to bend, our tendu to stretch. Now the dancers will do some turns. We've already had that, haven't we, with our Rothbart turn, so we won't do that. Then they have Petit Allegro, which are little jumps. We've done that in our warm-up. And then they have Grand Allegro, which are big jumps. Now we're not going to do big jumps, we are going to make big movements. And we're going to think now about how strong swans are. They're graceful, but they're very strong. And we're going to have these really strong arms that push up and push down. And perhaps again, if you would prefer to use a different part of your body, you can find a way to push and push. So we've got our big arms, pushing and pushing, and there are also feet that we add, because underneath the water, the swans are very graceful and strong on the top. Underneath the water, their feet are going pop, 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 to move them through the water. So we're going to do that. With my knees slightly bent, on my tiptoes, tap, 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 tap. So the arms and the feet are like this. You can also add a head. Now there are two choices here. You can either look up with the arms as you go down. I love this movement. It really makes me feel like a swan. Or if you want even more of a challenge, you can do opposite, so that you have your head go up as your arms go down. Now, the little tip that helps me remember how to do this is I start with my head down and my arms up, so that I know I'm going to do it in the right way. Now, I'm going to say either black swan or white swan. You'll do your beautiful, strong wings, and then I will either say black swan, and then you can make your own black swan shape. So think, we had in our warm-up really strong shapes. So maybe you could make a shape like that and hold it so that I can have a look at you. Or if I say white swan, think about what position you might make for her. In the ballet, the swans, they have lots of really lovely motifs that they use. There's even one that comes right down here, oh, like this. I'm afraid I don't do that very well, but some of you will be able to do that beautifully. Have you got that? So I'll either say black swan or white swan, and you're going to hold your beautiful shape, and I'm going to look at you. Okay, dancers, here's our music. You might recognise this music. And white swan. And again. And black swan. Let's have black swan again. And white swan. keep going so the music gets really dramatic. Another white swan. And let's finish on a black swan. Right, well done. That's the end of our mini ballet class. And now it's time to teach you a little bit of the ballet. And I'm going to teach you the dance of the baby swans. What are baby swans called? That's right, cygnets. And I have a picture of our lovely, lovely cygnets here. Okay. And they dance all together at the same time, very much in unison, with lots of small little movements. So, the good news is that we've learned some of these steps already. We're going to start, and you can either do it in parallel with your legs turned in or turned out. I should do it with my legs turned out. And we've got 8 little picked up jumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But they're going to travel to the red direction first. Something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then we go out, in, we look red, we look lemon, we look up, we look straight ahead. Then we go back the other way. So you'll notice I'm picking up the leg closest to the way I want to travel. Off we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out, in, lemon, red, up, straight ahead. Yes? Should you try that with the music? You don't have to jump it all while you're practicing. There's something called marking it, which means that you just lift your feet up without fully exhausting yourself. Okay. 4 in for this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we look red, lemon, up and back. The other way. Out, in, lemon, red, up, straight ahead. Turn up a little bit, I think. So of course that's something you can practice. I wouldn't expect you to be able to do it straight away. You can keep going back, can't you, and looking at it. Next bit. So then we're travelling back to the red direction, and this time we have a little step called Palais, which is step of a particular type of animal. Palais is step of the cat. I do apologise for my French pronunciation. So this step, it goes up, opens, you jump onto it, and then you go down. But really don't worry too much about it. Again, when you're learning ballet, it takes ages to be able to do a pas de chat. You can't do it just on the spot. But it's something like this. Da-dum, da-dum. 3, 4, out, in, red, lemon, up, straight ahead, and back, the other way. There's 4, out, in, lemon, red, up, straight ahead. Okay, should we try the whole thing? So before we start, dancers are always standing very tall, ready to go. Now, should I have my hands here? Yes, I have my hands here. I think 2, 3, 4. Out, in, red, lemon, up, down, back. 5, 6, 7, 8. Out, in, lemon, red, up, down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out, in, red, lemon, up, and back. And out, in. Now, what always amazes me when I'm teaching any parts of the ballet is that was probably about 30 seconds. and I am really out of puff, but the dancers, they're dancing for 2.5 hours. It's extraordinary, isn't it? Let's now think about how we would do that if we had some other people with us, because I've done that by myself, but I'm now going to introduce the other members of the Golightly family, because we're going to demonstrate how you can do these special hands. So that after all this is over, we're going to have streets of people doing the Cygnets. Yes, and we can work out a way to do it. If some people are staying on the spot, that won't be a problem. Right, they should be ready. I'm just going to give them a shout. Poppy! Excellent, look at that, well trained. In you come. Right, so if there are 2 people doing Cygnets, one person has their elbow bent that's closest, that's the outside arm, and then the inside arm is stretched. Let's just do it, and then we're going to slot in like a jigsaw. And then you slot in like this, like a jigsaw piece. Yeah, that's 2 people. If there are 3 of you, the person in the middle has to stand here, and then they do the same on the outside. Slot in, girls. And that's 3 of us. And now we have, if you've got 4. By the way, this is Poppy, this is Annie, and this is John. So the 2 people then in the middle have to have their arms like this. That's it. And then everyone slides in, just like that. Brilliant. Now don't worry, this has taken us a long time to practice, so don't worry if you get your hands in the muddle. Thank you, family. Poppy's going to stay and help demonstrate something. As I said at the beginning, you're going to have the opportunity to create your own piece of dance. Now Poppy and I, we've made up a little bit of Cygnets that's going to slot into the middle of the piece of music, and we were thinking about small movements, weren't we? Yeah. Sometimes we dance together in unison, but you'll notice there's a little moment when we dance in canon. I'm going to play the music. You will see that we do the bit that I've taught you, then Poppy and I do our little dance. Now ours was quite short and we repeated it. That's a good thing about the Cygnets, is that you can repeat things so you don't have to remember too much. Then we go back to the beginning a little bit, and then there's an ending. But I'll talk you through it as we go. Are we doing special hands?
I don't mind.
Let's do special hands, yeah. If we can get there in time. 2, 3, 4. We've got out, in, red, lemon, up. That is the way. Out, in, lemon, red, up. Out, in, in. Now this is the bit we made up. And we repeat it. We go back to the beginning. And back. At the ending, you pick up your feet at the back. 7, 8, and then 8 forwards. And you finish with a swan position of your choice. Great. We could do a bit more practice properly, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much anyway. So this is a project you might like to work on. You can practice the Cygnets, and then you could make up your own little Cygnets. And if you wanted to, you could work towards that whole thing, but you don't have to, of course. You can just make up a little bit of Cygnets. You might want to choose a different character. So we've got Voldemort. I'm sorry. We've got Rothbart, we've got the White Swan, and we've got the Black Swan and the Prince. So let's say I was taking Voldemort, I might think, well, how would Voldemort travel? I think it would be something like this. Yeah. How would, I said Voldemort again, how would Rothbart jump? Something like this. How will he turn? Well, we've had our turn here, haven't we? And then I might make up a little dance using perhaps some of those ideas. Of course, it's also lovely to put the music on and just dance without trying to remember it or make something up. What would be really, really lovely for me is if you do make any pieces of dance and you send them in so that I can see them. That would be absolutely lovely. Now the typing people, I think, are going to type something to explain how that might be possible. I have really, really enjoyed dancing with you today. Thank you very much for joining me.